Jesus, guys. How are we doing though, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back. My goodness gracious me. Happy New Year to everyone. The delays on the technicals are my bad. My mic is moving crazy, but we are back for another episode of All You Can Eat Chelsea. And we have got a lot to discuss, a lot to dissect. Miz, I'll start with you, brother. How are you feeling today? How are you doing?
Good, man. Good. First of all, Happy New Year to all the panelists, and then also everyone that's watching later on. Happy New Year. Hope you guys had a fantastic New Year's Eve, and hope you have a fantastic 2025. What year is this for the show, Matisse? This has been running for is this the 4th year or something?
Well, it would have been going since 2022, is it?
Yeah.
One?
After we won the Champions League, we didn't do it during the Champions League. So
No, we did.
No, we did it. We did it during the Champions League.
The year we won it.
Yeah. I remember when Thomas Tuchel was hired, we were here.
Okay,
Us three were here.
So 2021 then.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's probably fourth year now. Probably 4th year. So big up to the show. Big up to all the new panelists that has joined as well in the likes of Javon and Baba. I'm sure Baba will join soon. And man, hopefully more episodes to come in years ahead.
100%. Younes, brother, how are you feeling today? How are you doing?
I'm good. Happy New Year to all of you and to everyone watching as well. Hope you've had a good one. And if you had a very heavy one, well, now it is the 2nd and you should have had enough time to recover. So you can pay attention to what we've got to say because it's going to be a good one. But I'm good, and I hope you are too.
And Javon, bro, how are you feeling? How are you doing? I know it's mad early over there.
Nah, bro, I'm good, bro. I didn't do anything yesterday other than rest and recoup from the night before. But I'm happy. I'm blessed to be here, and I'm blessed to see another year. Blessed to see another year as a Chelsea fan. I'm glad all this stress and turmoil in the past didn't have me divert to a different team. So we stay strong and ready to have this discussion.
Well, it is 0 wins out of our last 3, 1 point. We was just saying before we started, Miz was saying about when we looked at these fixtures, nobody would have seen that coming. It was a lot of hard work to get into this position, to build up this buffer between ourselves and the other top 4 chases. So much so that people are talking about title races and why are you not getting yourselves involved and you're just running away from the fight. You're underestimating yourselves, and most Chelsea fans were saying, nah, we know exactly who we are, and we also know what the Christmas period does to every single coach that comes through this club. The Christmas period is volatile. There's L's to be taken, points to be dropped. It happens every single time, doesn't matter how well we're doing. And when you look at the points and the what we're on course for, we were on course for a top 4 finish. We wasn't in title winning form, even though we had a nice little run towards the back end before this. And here we are. Everton, Fulham, Ipswich. Ipswich is still pissing me off. I'm still thinking about it. Where do we stand right now? I mean, who is mostly to blame for that period? For me, it feels like Maresca. I know he's saying, or people are saying tired legs, fatigue, but I don't feel like we've utilized our bench properly. I don't feel like he's been himself tactically. How do you feel about that, Miz? To start with you. Where's your head at with Maresca?
Yeah, look, partly due to some of the injuries that we've had recent times to key personnel, which has disrupted the way we shape up in the match. But I agree, partly due to Maresca as well, due to his subs or lack of subs or subs that are late. And sometimes he doesn't want to throw the kitchen sink because it's going to disrupt the balance and the structure. You know, when you're chasing the game, I know from a fan base point of view, or from a fan point of view, from myself, I want to see just screw the structure for a second. Like, screw the balance. Like, throw the kitchen sink, mate. Like, we're losing. What does it matter if we lose 2-1 or 3-1 or 4-1? Go out there and try and win. But Maresca seems to be a bit stubborn in that manner. But at the same time, I'm like, I don't buy into the fact that tiredness is a bit of an issue, because some of these players only play one game a week. In those 8 match winning streak, we've had few Conference League matches as well in between, where it's a complete rotation of players. So mostly players play one game a week. It was literally just recently when we played Everton and Fulham in a very short period of time where some of the players were used a little bit more frequently. Now, these players can't be saying, oh, it's tired legs just because of playing a couple of matches back to back. I look at teams like, for example, Liverpool. Some of their key players, they play a lot. Champions League, Premier League, whatever it is, they continuously play. So I don't think it's tiredness. For me, also coincidental that the January window is just around the corner, and is Enzo Maresca. I don't know whether he's sending out a message to the board, which I've been pondering. He's been saying that Nkunku is not a striker, yet he doesn't want to use Guy, but he utilizes Nkunku. Is that a message to the board saying, I need a striker? I don't trust Guy, and I'm going to keep playing Nkunku to show you he doesn't fit. He doesn't seem to utilize Joao Felix often enough. Is that also a message to the board saying, that's not my type of a player? So I don't know, man, Matisse. It's a strange one. Partly he's being stubborn. Partly there is injury issues. That's where my mindset's at the moment, to be honest.
Does anybody feel like, I've seen some people panic about it. I'm personally not too worried about it. I think we're going to finish where we should, or where we expected ourselves to finish based upon what I've seen most of the time this season. But is anybody worried about top four depending on how this January window goes?
No, not based on the window.
Okay.
Not because I think the business is going to be crap overall. I don't think we'll do anything major. I don't think anyone else will really do anything major, maybe except City. Who knows? But I don't think that will be the case. Obviously, top four will be based on, I think, what we have and whether the players that we have are available. If they're not available, if they're all there, they're not. Having Lavia, for example, right now would help. If there's anyone on the pitch that can really say I'm tired, it's probably Caicedo and Enzo. Apart from them, I don't think anyone else has that excuse. So this is where, you'd like to have those sort of players, but we don't. So top four will come based on what we have available to us already, I think. Whether it comes or it doesn't, it's going to be one way or another. We'll see what happens, but I don't think it'll be the window.
I'm not really sure about that, to be honest. I was positive not that long ago, but looking at some of the issues that we have when players are unavailable, Wesley Fofana. Even when Wesley Fofana's not available, we used to play Buddy Ashil. Now Buddy Ashil's not there. Romeo Lavia is a huge miss. When Jackson's not about, it's Nkunku. For me, Enzo Maresca, he doesn't trust the players that he has in disposal in the bench. So if he continues in this manner where he's not comfortable, and there's no news about Wesley Fofana. When is this guy back? Does anyone know? There's no news. There's no news about Buddy Ashil when this guy's going to be back. Romeo Lavia was meant to be back. There's no news about him either. Do you know what I mean? So, and Romeo Lavia, this isn't the first injury he's had this season. He's already had 3 or 4, and we've played half of the season. So I'm not really sure. This is what I've been sort of thinking, that there's been a lot of briefs that's been coming out saying that, we're not going to do much business in January. Well, you're really going to handicap Maresca then. You expect Maresca to keep coming up with magic shows that he has been so far. You expect him to continue doing that in the second half of the season. If the last 3 games isn't enough indication to say that he can't continue with the magic show all the time, he needs to have some proper backup. More and more teams will just pretty much follow suit of what the last 3 teams have done against us, and they'll just be patient and try and hit us, whenever they find a bit of flaws in defense, which is not going to go away immediately. So I'm not really sure.
So, okay, I guess I can go. Yeah. So here's the thing, I see. It's a bit of a weird one for me, simply because the past couple of games I put it. I'm gonna be real with you guys. I put it 80% on Maresca, 20% on the players. because at the end of the day, in each of those games, I came out the game thinking there's 5 things you could have at least attempted to either turn a draw into a win, turn
I agree.
a win at the time into get a second goal to solidify the win, or at least minimum maintain a draw when we were 1-1 against Fulham. And then against Ipswich, you could have still 1-0 down, you could have still made changes to rectify the loss and turn that into a win. Because please remember, against Ipswich, we were 1-0 down early. It wasn't a penalty, but it was still early on in the game. So with each of those games, I felt like, okay, you may not have trust these players, but they can at least give you an impact in the game to either minimum up the tempo and sometimes just up in the tempo, or injecting some legs into the team can turn the tides basically from where the game is at the moment. Which says to me, okay, Maresca, you don't trust your squad. So that simply debunks the squad quality issue we have then, because it doesn't matter the quality of the squad if the manager is not going to utilize it. Can we all agree on that? So for me, honestly, it's kind of on Maresca. So it doesn't matter if we have the transfer window where he's going to bring in players. Are you going to utilize those players? Didn't we get briefings in the past that, you're a head coach. We give you what we want to give you and then you make do with it. So when you consider all of that and put all of that in a blender, it's honestly, guys, I'm just concerned about the in-game management, because you can put out a starting 11. You can get that wrong. But when you see Disasi playing that right back against Everton and against Ipswich, and you do nothing to change it when you see it's going horribly wrong, that's on you. No amount of substitutions you make, unless you make the right subs, is going to change that. I spoke about it on the Sideline View, and spoke about it in some of the other shows I've been on. It doesn't matter what you do going forward if every time the other team goes forward, they attack your weakest link. And if your weakest link is Zazi and you cannot recognize that, or you recognize that and blatantly decide to ignore it, then what are we doing here? The first sub should have never been Felix. I don't care how bad he was or good he was or average he was. The first sub should have been Disasi. Play someone out there that's comfortable out there in the wide areas. So when they try to go down that side and they see that's not the avenue anymore, they have to rethink how they attack. And maybe we get some joy then. Against Everton, you're telling me you have 2 players that can play sides, both the wings comfortably, and you do minimum try to switch to see if one could get joy the left hand side in Neto, which gives you a bit more pace down that side to try and rinse Ashley Young to maybe create some more chances to turn that 0-0 into a win. And or better, cool. You don't want it. You left. No, Madueke wasn't out the side, and Nkunku was.
Madueke came in for Neto, didn't he?
Exactly. Yeah. Cool. You don't say, okay, let me put Neto down that side to inject a bit of pace down that side to see if I get the better out of Ashley Young. And then I realized the sub that they made at that point, well, they made later in the match, was an even older gentleman or at the same age, Seamus Coleman. So you're telling me you put pace down that side and, okay, cool. You still, let's say you still make the subs late. You still don't inject pace down that side. You make a like-for-like sub. And then you still give these people, you still introduce those subs late in the game. I'm recapping all of this to show you that it's in-game management. So let's say you do get players you trust on the bench. If you don't make the subs at the right time, if you don't recognize where the game is going on, or if you don't, for this third point, in the Fulham game, right, we were leading. Remember, we were 1-0 up. And the biggest indictment for the loss for that game is the manager did this. The opposing manager, Marcus Silva, by the way. You know what? I'm losing this game. I'm going to make 2 subs. I'm going to trust my bench.
Three subs.
But guess what? He got both goals from 2 subs. Wilson and Younes. My man said, you know what? On the field. Because he recognized that we had tiredness. He recognized that while we were winning, we were losing control of the games and the tide was shifting because we had tired legs. At that point, you could have made subs earlier to be proactive to try and control the game. You could have either went, okay, I'm going to throw an extra defender on, to kind of solidify that 1-0. Make a sub for an extra midfielder. Yes, you might not trust Cassidy. Yes, you might not trust KDH, but they can do a job to solidify defensively. Or you make an offensive sub, because I remember in that game we were wasting chances for fun. We were trying to game management way too early. We could have made a sub to give a bit more attacking impetus to try and get that second goal. And then, you see the game out. So there's certain things that I see that is more in-game management and trusting your. Yes, it goes back to trusting your squad. But there's certain things that I see where I'm saying that's on you, Maresca. You might not trust the player, but the player can at least give you this. Against the Fulham game, we had problems in transition when we were leggy. You're telling me Felix can't come in and at least carry the ball upfield? He's probably going to win a free kick, which gets us further upfield.
Just quickly, Javon, just to add, or maybe to give a different sort of spanner in the mix. I fully agree with you. Like, how did we keep the same team against Ipswich at halftime? How there wasn't any halftime changes was the mad part. You saw a first half which was diabolical. How you didn't make changes in halftime is mad. But just to go back, I think we fully all agree that in the last 3 matches, Maresca played the biggest role in my opinion, and it looks like from you guys as well, that he was probably he played the biggest role in not getting more out of the team. But if you look back in the previous matches, it's not like this is a regular occurrence from Maresca not utilizing the bench or being blamed. There's been matches where he's probably been the sole man that changed the match. Mm-hmm. Wolves, for example. Do you know what I mean? Second half, he tweaked tactically, boom, and we looked a lot better in the second half. And there's been other instances as well. So we can't also sit here and say this guy lacks in man management or in-game management or whatever the case is. This is why I find it a bit strange that, my man, why have you decided to go down this path over the last 3 matches? I get it. There's some injuries. I understand that. There's some key players not there. Why aren't you utilizing what you have? This is why I was saying, isn't it coincidental that January window is just around the corner and now he's starting to I feel he's trying to send a message to the board saying, well, I'm not going to use these players. I won't. And you got the January window, fix it.
Okay, so this is his issue. As a head coach, you can't be trying to send those messages because you know what you signed up for. And you signed up for a situation where you coach the players and they get you the players. If they got you Dewsbury Hall for PSR, then you've used him before, right? You've trained him, you've coached him last season. You have to trust him. If you as a collective, and he in the press conference at the start of the season said, Cassidy wants to stay, Cassidy, we're happy to work with. We're going to use him. We're going to develop him. Okay. And you got to use him. You can't now not trust these players because when the window was open in the summer, you were happy to take what was coming your way. If Cassidy was not good enough, if Dewsbury Hall was not good enough, that should have been vocalized. And then we shouldn't have these players on our books. If you don't trust Felix outside of relegation games like Ipswich, Southampton and Leicester, which is the only games he seems to be playing, then you should never have him in your squad, before the start of the season. We, as a collective... Well,
apparently there's been briefs, Matisse, that he never wanted Maresca. I don't know whether these briefs are legitimate, but they come from better sources, that he never wanted...
he never wanted who? You said he never wanted
Felix.
Maresca.
He never wanted... Maresca never wanted Felix, apparently. He has always voiced out for another striker, and he's been left with Nkunku. Apparently, the board has literally put their 2 hands together, said, brother, just do something with Felix. Just do something. Like make a magic show. So, and he's been very vocal in press conference, Matisse, from the get-go. He's been talking about Mudryk, how Misha is Misha. He's been talking about Madueke on a regular. He's been talking about Enzo initially. He's got to be physical. So it's not that he's really... I used to think he was a yes man. I don't think he's shown any display of a yes man all throughout this first half of the season, He's actually been quite ruthless in the press conference. Yeah. And now he's showing even more ruthlessness by not utilizing João Felix. Do you know how many matches he hasn't utilized João Felix off the bench? He was in the bench and he didn't utilize it. There's 6 or 7 matches.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the message is clear from him. I don't want him.
Felix has only played around
Thousand.
four
Yeah.
full 90 minutes in the Prem.
Yeah.
Because the rest of them is Conference League games.
So the message is clear, no? The message is clear from him.
At the start of the season, I said the recruitment team have to take responsibility for the season. I don't know if he keeps making these kind of matches where his in-game management and his decision-making, his tactics are so at the forefront, whether that changes and weighs up differently for people. But at the end of the day, this is why when we were praising the board, we were like, let's praise them on hiring Maresca, but let's relax on the recruitment for now. Because like I said to Robert, and I know he's on your show, Javon, too quick to call it elite recruitment until the maths math. And the math still isn't quite mathing. I went back over the window we just had, and there's a whole heap of names and faces that are not contributing enough to our Premier League season. For all of the stick Madueke has received, Neto is nowhere near at the moment as impactful from a GA standpoint as Madueke in the Premier League. He's only got one goal. You know, so there's still so much more to improve. And I partly feel for Neto in terms of the assists is because we don't have a striker in the box that can actually finish off his crosses.
I have something to kind of add here, right? Regarding the Felix thing, and it just the idea just appeared in my head. Do you think Felix doesn't get utilized? Yes, I can agree on the trust, but is it also partially because he doesn't sub Cole Palmer? Because he's the one that says Felix and Palmer are the ones that puts bums on the seats in the stadium. They're the reason why people come to see them. But he also sees Felix playing in that 10 role where Palmer plays, but he never subs Palmer. And when we do see Felix get utilized, is when we're probably multiple goals up, we're controlling the game. And that's when he said, you know what, let me give Cole Palmer a break and sub him later on. And it's still hospital minutes. So I'm wondering if that's also a contributing factor. And no one seems to be talking about that. Maybe when he gets... I don't know, because there's been games this season where Palmer should have been substituted and he never gets subs, and then I think that's a knock-on effect on not seeing Felix either.
But he also doesn't move Palmer because Palmer's positionally versatile. So
I agree.
Why can't you put Palmer back on the right and give Gusto the overlap instead of asking him to do the role that he's doing, which is not working, and put Cucurella into the back three, which he's done before, and go with your 3-2 build-up that way and give Gusto the license to overlap? Because one of the things that I probably should add with our wingers, as much as they've disappointed me at times this season, they never have any overlap because everybody's always tucking in. There's no support. They're always getting double and triple teamed.
And Gusto can't do it. Cucurella can. Gusto, so far, just he's not able to.
So,
end of story.
So on that right-hand side, right? And I guess we're going to talk about it a bit tactically, which I love. On that right-hand side, when Gusto steps onto when the sassy is at right back, it's like having a fridge at right back, and the fridge is always open. We said to the opposition, come on, take what you want. We have juice, we have sparkling water, we have all of that. I say that to say this. The sassy offers no help offensively. And in Maresca's system, everybody on the pitch have to be both defensive-minded and attack-minded. So the system strives very well when the defense can quickly transition to attack. The sassy doesn't give you that. And another thing, when the wingers are over there and Palmer's in the right half space, they feed on someone like Gusto when he's in better form. Because I will say Gusto's been a bit woeful, but when Gusto's playing that natural right back role where he can step into support. What do I mean by that? When Madueke is doubled up and tripled up on, how much time do we see him relax? Even Neto relax on the ball and just play a ball around the corner, and Gusto's the one running in play to put a cross in. Or when Gusto steps up a bit, and Palmer can pick up the ball off of him to then release it to the winger, which is Madueke. When Disasi's playing that right back, we don't get that at all. Versus on the other side, where Cucurella can do it all over there. Overlap, underlap, step it. This man is up there taking shots now. So he needs to play these players in their natural position and provide that option to use Palmer out on the right more. Because otherwise from that, what are we doing? It's affecting the whole attack now.
I agree. And this overlap issue, I think, is something that does need to be resolved, especially for someone like Gusto. Cucurella, there's no problem with, because he fulfills the role fantastic and he plays it brilliantly and he offers that support in midfield. But on that right-hand side, not only are you not sending someone up top to help aid a winger that we do need to assist, but you're right, sticking Disasi there, you're offering absolutely nothing on that right-hand side. Which is where, going back to Cole Palmer, being able to play off of that right-hand side to then accommodate Felix as a 10, it does offer some sort of, at least, a way to get the opposition to think, or the opposing manager to go, okay, how am I going to handle this? Because we know Palmer can play off that right, and if Felix is creative enough to play in that 10, and they can combine together, maybe we actually create something. And maybe it does actually, if we are to get a fullback running down the right-hand side to overlap on Cole Palmer, it gives another reason to get the opposition to maybe use a man and maybe create more space for not only Palmer, who they're going to mark anyway, but even Felix. So I find it a way to be able to test the opposition and actually try and change something and get something from the game, which we've not really seen. With Felix, going back to the point real quick, because I feel like it's important to mention, because Felix, whether Maresca is a fan or not a fan, I'm not sure. And on one side of the coin, as Miz would say, Matisse, you are right in suggesting that Maresca knew what he signed up for, just like all the other managers, head coaches, because of this role that we've spoken about. At the same time, the only reason why Felix was brought in, let's be honest, because we didn't know he was coming in, no one knew he was coming in, was to get Gallagher gone. Yeah, because we were off to try and get John Duran, and then that fell through. And then we shipped off Gallagher to Atletico, but we wanted Omorodion, and that fell through. And then we got Felix out of nowhere. I'm not quite surprised.
But where the reasons Samuel fell through, right?
Yeah,
because we left him in the hotel.
Yeah.
I don't really know what the real reason is. I mean, there was some
people said he failed the medical, but he
whatnot.
passed the medical for Porto.
Yeah.
No, I don't know if it was really about the medical and whatnot. There were some reports about image rights, which is a huge factor apparently in football now. And Chelsea didn't want to give Omar Dion enough percentage of the image rights. They wanted to hold a lot of the image rights, whereas Omar Dion said, no, I'm going to hold my image rights. Do you know what I mean? So, look, we don't know the exact ins and outs of that. There are rumors about not passing medical, which I think, Matisse, you're right. That must be a bluff. Like, that must be such a proper lie, because literally a few days ago he was in Spain.
Olympics,
yeah, under 21s or whatever, like Olympics team, yeah. And then obviously he passed for Porto, and look, he's been playing fantastically for Porto. So I don't know whether that is the issue. Going back to the point that both Javon and Younes, you guys made about overlapping fullbacks, and I think Matisse as well. And yes, that is something that we would like to see, so that our wingers get a bit of an option. But it's quite ironic, because you'd think with an Italian manager, they give a lot more thought in defense, and generally Italian managers have strong defensive teams that are very strong, right? And from the Italian managers that we've had in our past, very strong defensively. We don't let in easy goals. I think from that perspective, Enzo Maresca, he's always concerned about if a fullback is flying and also a winger is up there, there's a distinct opening in that side. And these days, oppositions are too quick to notice all of these things, and they will capitalize on that hole that is left behind. Then you drag a CB out wide where we struggle. Our CBs are not capable of, well, the ones that we have right now, not the ones that have been injured, they're not capable of defending in wide areas. So this is why we're probably linked with the CB, where you can start seeing a fullback maybe going further up if you have the right CB that can defend in wide areas. So as much as we want to see this, and I think this is where he talks about the balance and the structure, it's got to be right. I can't just throw Gusto up there. I can't just throw Cucurella up there along with the wingers as well. One mistaken pass from anyone in between, boom, you got space in behind. And then we're complaining, why isn't the structure good enough? Why isn't our defense good enough? Why are they making all of these defensive errors? you have to be very careful.
And to add, this comes back to when he made that point about having a more physical, athletic six. Maybe if that profile was there, he would switch the fullbacks up. But we know he's inverting the fullback to give an extra hand in the midfield with Enzo and Caicedo.
Yep.
Or he's inverting Caicedo from right back and he's doing it that way when Lavia was fit. So yeah, it's a complex issue because the squad's being built the way it's being built. And if what you guys are saying is correct, which could be right, he might not be completely satisfied with the way the squad is being built. Because when we looked at the end of that window, it was quite apparent that there's far too many floaters, creators, tens, playmakers, but there isn't actually enough depth up front. And then when he started saying, Nkunku can play 9, I was like, that's bullshit. Because he can't. There's no way you think he can play 9 because he's never played 9. He's always played off the front, man. For France, he does it. And he does it at Leipzig. And he's not physically imposing enough to play back to goal in the Prem. And he's not even quick enough right now. It doesn't seem in the press to play up there and press the way you wanted to press. But then he doesn't trust Guy. He doesn't trust Drewsbury off the bench. Sometimes he doesn't make the bench. He doesn't trust Felix. He doesn't trust Josh Achampong. He doesn't trust a lot of players. Yeah, he doesn't trust a lot of players right now, it seems. So
I guess we're moving on to the Nkunku talk. I was just going to have a little bit rebuttal with what Miz says. If you look at how we've been flying in the past game before this poor run of form, we had that fullback that would support that right half space is basically what I'm saying. I'm not asking you to always overlap. I'm just asking you to play someone in that position that's going to support and not hinder. So that's where I was coming from with the Disassi thing. With not just having not Disassi at right back.
Oh, Gusto when he was playing in the 8s.
He was horrible offensively, but he still provided that support and knew when to get back in time. I get so the conversation is moving to Nkunku. This point was brought up to be by Marshall. Shout out to Marshall. Let's forget the position of the 9 of Nkunku not being a 9 for a minute. Don't you think someone of quote unquote his quality should still be giving you something more than what he's giving us now? On the previous video we dropped, we had a whole discussion on this. I think he's genuinely just checked out. Because if you really deep it, when Jackson plays, Jackson doesn't play as a out and out 9 at times. How much times when you really look at it, he drops deep, he links up the play, and then he spins and then he gets going. How much times do you see where he drops into midfield to provide that second option? He presses better. Shut up, Baba. Shut up. What's up, Baba? Happy New Year. Happy New Year, boss.
Happy New Year, brother.
He spreads the play. You're telling me Nkunku, with the quality he's touted to have, you can't provide better performances? Like, it's done being a positional thing for me at this point. At this point, I just think he's checked out and he's just not playing well enough. Because even when he drops into the 10 to have someone else fill that space, we saw nothing. The other day, he was playing alongside Jackson, who was playing in that 9 position. We saw nothing. I just think his performances and his form has not been good enough, and he could still give us more than what he's giving us now. So I'm not hearing this excuse anymore when it comes on to, he's not a 9. He can still do better than what he's doing now.
I think I agree to a good extent, because with his position, I think at base value, if we're talking foundationally, I think it's an issue. But when you're looking at his just on a normal day, you're seeing Nkunku, that last game where he started, the basic stuff of just being aggressive enough, being able to press hard enough, like he wasn't doing. The amount of times you could see Maresca on the touchline literally telling him, like, go, like, push, press. And he's like, okay. And then he starts going. It's like, well, you're too late now. And that happened a good 3 times, I noticed, where you see Maresca, like, on him. And he's just not moving. So, yeah, it's basic stuff. So is he frustrated? Has he checked out? I think it's more probably towards that. But him not being able to play in his role, I think is probably where it all stems from the very beginning. And that's just tough, I guess, when you've got someone like Cole Palmer. But this is the whole thing. You remember, this was brought up early, right? I think when Cole Palmer was signed, in terms of how are we actually going to use Nkunku, and it's to this day, it's still an issue. So
initially, in my head, it was Nkuku in the 10, Palmer on the right, coming in off that side, and Gusto or James giving support that way. But then obviously, since we signed Felix, that has complicated things massively, because now we've got a situation where we have 3 10s, and I'm not even including Chukwuemeka because he's going to have to leave in January. I'm expecting that to be pretty imminent at this point. But you've got yourself in a situation where you've got 3 10s and you got 1 striker and 5 million Gu, who really, that's not what the secondary striker position is worth. It's not an 18-year-old 5 million signing from Barcelona B. It's a far more... Because let's be honest, if Jackson got injured, and I know people were critical of Jackson recently, he's not been taking his chances, he's not been playing brilliant the last couple of games. Jackson got injured, this fan base would find out again for the second season running. Because last season it was AFCON, and it was Amando Broyo that came in, and everybody found out fast the difference. They'll find out again just how much of an issue we have up front with no Jackson. Jackson is so important, even in this form. It's scary.
He's all we
shouldn't
got.
be...
That's the
He's
problem.
all we have.
The problem is that's all we've got.
It's crazy. Because Gu, listen, I just want Gu to come off the bench over Nkuku.
Yeah.
Gu can't start. Pressing and running at defenders is not going to cut it in the Prem. That's not all you can do. You have to do everything else. Hold up. Movement. Technique. Technical side of the game's got to be higher. There's so much more that he's not ready for to lead the line for Chelsea. That's self-explanatory. But Baba, I just want to bring you in, brother. We were talking about Maresca last couple of games, 3 games, no win. How much percentage is it for you on fatigue? How much is it in
It's your fault. It's you, bro. You've done this.
You did this. Yeah, now let's talk to the man himself. How much of this is fatigue? How much of this is the manager? How much of this is recruitment and Maresca doesn't trust the players? What do you think?
I think it's down to the Christmas dinner. heavy Christmas dinner. Like, it's so funny, bro. One Everton away game every December and we seem to crumble, bro. Like, this Everton away fixture should not be in December. December already is a cursed month for us, and whenever we play Everton away, something starts to happen. I personally feel it's a bit down to players being a bit complacent also. That Fulham performance, I thought that we took it a bit lightly. I guess the way we were going about the business, and it was down to fatigue as well. Caicedo and Enzo look absolutely burnt out, to be honest. And hence we had a player like Lavia. Hence we had Cassidy to cover for them and for allow those players to play 50, 60 minutes in the games that we were not supposed to go all out. Case in point, Ipswich Town. And go there and you lose the game. I don't know if you guys have discussed this point already, but the changes that Maresca made, everyone was calling out those changes to be made in the Fulham game, right? That's why he didn't bring on Felix, why he didn't get on Nkunku a bit earlier, and only one substitution made in that game and whatnot, or use the squad a bit in a bit better way. The moment he starts those players, you can see that, okay, there is a clear gap in quality. Why B team is called the B team and why they are playing in the Conference League, right? I personally think that Ipswich game was a weird one. I still believe that it was unacceptable. But on any other day, we would have won that game. You know what? We didn't play that bad in the first half to lose that game. But the individual mistakes and what Disasi did was absolutely unacceptable. We created enough to score a couple of goals, but it didn't go our way. And it was bound to happen, bro, because we were anyways overperforming our XG. So it was bound to get caught up at a given point. And I was expecting losses, but in that manner, I was not expecting the loss. Like, I thought that we'll have some random losses in the season. It's still a young team. I think we still have a manager who's learning on the job. But if you would have told me that we'll have 35 points in halfway of the season, which translates to 70 points at the end of the season, roughly, I would have gladly taken it, bro. It's just that because we got so greedy when we were in a situation, if we would have beaten Everton, Liverpool would have gone into Spurs game at second place. Now the way Liverpool are playing, irrespective of what we would do, they will smash every team in front of them. So that point becomes irrelevant. But yes, when the time was there to consolidate your top four position, I still think it's top four. Like everyone was going at us, to stop this, you're not in the title race gimmick. Stop doing this, stop doing this. They thought that we were kidding and we were not trying to jinx it. We know that we were not in a title race. So it was time to consolidate a top four place, because in games like Fulham and Ipswich, you expect us to pick up points. We didn't do that. But I'm not too alarmed. I'm a bit disappointed, but I'm not too alarmed that, okay, we are in a crisis now, 3 games without a win, and we have been found out, and oh my God, what will happen? And it's same old story. December comes and we seem to crumble. Same happened in the Lampard season when Tuchel took over. We were flying high, and then suddenly everything crumbled in. Like I remember in the second season, in the season in which we won the Champions League, 2nd of December, we beat Leeds at Stamford Bridge and we were at top of the table. And 26th January, Tuchel was appointed as the new manager. So, so things can change so quickly. But even when we have lost these games, we have not completely looked out of ideas. In the second half, okay, after the Omari Hutchinson goal, it all went to shit. Like we were just hitting a brick wall, it seems. Like only crossing and inshallah was our only plan in the second half against Ipswich. But I still think that there is much more to the team. And Nkunku as Javon, I caught a bit of his argument about Nkunku. I think I completely agree with him. I think he can offer us more. There's a player in there, but it's just the system and the kind of players that we have recruited before Maresca took over. It's not helping his cause. I think now it's like a thing that we have seen him play, but what Liam Delap did, that's the kind of backup striker that we need, right? A like for like replacement for Jackson, or a similar profile who can hold the ball, who's a beast, who's a target man also, and is a nuisance for the defenders. So let's see what happens.
I just want to add as well, great point, is that it isn't a crisis, and we are in a position that we kind of all expected objectively to hit. And I think this team, I mean, they were never ready to go on a title run purely because we know in a title run you can't afford to drop points.
Sorry to cut you off, Miss. For the way this season is going, I think Liverpool will go minimum to the semi-final of the Champions League. If City catch some form and they are able to make minimum till the quarterfinals, we win the Conference League, and one of the English teams does well in the Europa League as well. So 99% the Premier League is getting that 5th place in the Champions League also for the next season.
Yeah.
I mean, in this season, I just want that 4th, just purely so we don't even have to look
I'm
at
just
these
saying
things. But
for insurance, like there is an insurance. Like 4th is not the end of the, like 5th. Even if you get 5th, there is a good chance that you will be in the Champions League next season.
For me, it's points tally as well. We were talking about it before in the breakdown group. Like, I think 70 points minimum should be the aim. We're at 35. It's the halfway point. You gotta double that and get 70. And points wise, the improvement's important, not just qualifying as well, because things have changed, or the 5th spot is there, but we've only got a couple of more points than last season. That's not the kind of progression I'm really targeting. But it's mad that 3 games can go from you can go top of the league to now you are 10 points off Liverpool and they've played a game less. It's could be 13 points. That is insane. But that is why a title race and top 4 is not to be played with. When you're in a title race, that is 10 game winning runs. That is breezing through the Christmas period. That is relentless win after win after win. The psyche is different. The mentality is different. The manager has to be ready for that. He has to be ready for that. You can't afford this type of slip for that. So, but I mean, going into Palace, I just want to pull it in that direction, because what do we want to see? What has to happen? For me, first thing out of the gate is, if you're not, to be honest, Josh Achampong for me should be starting that game. It might be a risk to some, but for me, I'm tired of seeing this right side centre back position not given to him as an opportunity, because I'm seeing Nwaneri play. I've seen Connor Bradley play. I'm seeing Lewis Skelly play. I'm seeing all these young players getting their opportunities. For some reason, we're afraid to play this kid. Him and Reece James are the only players that actually make sense for this position. They've got centre back and right back experience. They can step forward with the ball. They know this position better than the other guys that are filling in right now. Gusto's not a right side centre back. Airily, he'll get done. We saw that against Nottingham Forest. And Disasi, I don't even need to say anything. Like it's clear. So at least play the young player that has an actual future in this position. He knows the position. So I don't know what anybody else's non-negotiables are.
I think, I echoed the same thing, where I said that, number one, we need to start focusing where we were going right in that winning run that we had. One of the key factors was Levi Colwell playing in the middle. Levi Colwell, I think we can all agree, struggles defending in wide areas. Sometimes he doesn't even think about tracking back. He jogs back in that goal against Fulham. Levi Colwell, just so that we can fit Tosin, we have to compromise Levi Colwell's game. I don't think we need to do that because Tosin himself is not superior in defense either. Like, I would be happy to compromise Levi Colwell's game if we could put our hands on our heart and say, Tosin's a beast of a defender. For Tosin, others must compromise. Tosin's not the answer either. So let's bin that. Let's go back to Levi Colwell being in the middle. Now let's work out what needs to happen next. Right-sided centre-back. Desasi is not the answer. It's clear. How many more mistakes do we need to see? There is literally a 5-minute compilation video on this guy making mistakes since he joined Chelsea Football Club. There was the only one game that we can all recall, is our Manchester City game last season where he did well. Besides that, this guy's been error-prone ever since, right? So Desasi needs to go. We don't have any other options at the moment. Reece James, God knows how many minutes we can squeeze out of him. We can't really rely on him. Let's go with Achapong until Wesley Fofana and Badiashile and all of those guys come back, right? So Achapong. LCB, have Kukurea there. Have Kukurea there and have Malo Gusto on the right back position and get him to invert. If we are worried about defending when in transition and you're worried that if Malo Gusto bombs forward that there's going to be, holes left behind, well then just have him move, not too far away from his original position. So on the ball, get him to invert into midfield, which then allows, in recent times, we've missed Enzo Fernandez going into those edge of the box positions. In the last few matches before the Everton one, he was vital. He was producing assists. He was getting goals. He was linking up with Jackson. He was linking up with Palmer. Palmer was finding Enzo Fernandez. But the last few games, Enzo Fernandez is having to stay again predominantly a little bit deeper. Whenever he gets the opportunity to move forward, he can. But it's not that free-flowing scenario when you used to have someone coming to midfield alongside Caicedo. So, and stick to a lineup. Like don't dilly-dally around too much. Stick to Jackson up front. No one's going to ask ever again. We all ask for forgiveness. We're not going to ask for Felix. We're not going to ask for Nkunku because we've seen it. If you can use them off the bench, use them. But stick to Liverpool style, game in, game out in the Premier League. Jackson up front, Cole Palmer, Enzo Fernandez, Caicedo. Get rid of all of these other numpties that provide errors on a regular and just stick to them, especially in the Premier League. You got the FA Cup game where you can give minutes to Nkunku, where you can give minutes to João Felix. Hopefully down the track, Conference League matches will come along and you can give them minutes. But especially in the Premier League, don't mess about anymore. You've messed about. The 3 fixtures that we really should have probably looked at getting maximum points, bar maybe the Everton one, which is always a difficult fixture. It wasn't really a bad draw, to be honest, because we could have easily lost that. But the losses against Fulham and Ipswich were detrimental. And it's not just losses that, like the one that we had against Liverpool, where we came off the loss and we're like, do you know what? That's actually not a bad game from us. We don't deserve to lose that one. These were losses where all of us were saying the opposition deserved to win.
Yeah.
We don't want to get off the field saying, yeah, you deserve to win. We were rubbish. That's not what we're about. So this is why I'm like, when people talk about the title race, this, that, the other, forget about the title race for a second. us as a team, we should not be losing in the manner we lost against Fulham and Ipswich, which had a lot to do with the manager.
I think, bro, one thing we don't talk about in such games is the intangibles. Sometimes what you need is composure to see out those 1-0 victories, which we lack massively. The collective head loss that happens when we concede a goal or when we concede a high XG chance, you can see the clear panic. What happened in the Fulham game, what I observed, that at 80th minute you went to manage that game in spite of attacking and killing it. First half you had chances to kill that game, you didn't do it. Now you don't have the expertise and the composure to see off a 1-0 game. If Liverpool were in the same situation, for example, if Fulham were dominating them, which happened this season because they were a man down, so they will more often than not see out that 1-0 game because they've got leaders like Van Dijk and experienced players like Trent, and the other players are playing on form right now. That is the intangible that we don't talk about. That is something that you can't quantify, the experience and the composure that you need, because in every game you won't perform to your XG, you won't be the better team, but to be consistent you will need to get some scrappy wins out of this season. The only match that I remember doing this, us doing this season, was the Bournemouth away game when we didn't deserve to win that game objectively, but Sanchez had a blinder. He saved that Evan Nielsen penalty. I think it was Evan Nielsen. I don't remember exactly who the player was. And we didn't create much in that game, but boom, one moment of magic from Sancho and Nkunku, and we won that game. And defense pretty much solved the game. And I think we didn't have Enzo or Caicedo in that game. Vega was playing in the midfield.
Just quickly, Baba, just to sort of add a different spin to that. I agree. We don't have the experience. I fully agree. We know that. It's a young squad. It's one of the youngest squads in the Premier League. But on that Fulham game, at 1-0, at second half, for the first 5 minutes, we were looking okay. But after that, all of us can agree, it was all Fulham, wave after wave after wave. Now, if you're the manager, Enzo Maresca on the sideline, a lot of people probably call you Enzo Maresca because of your looks. If you're in the sideline, you should be sensing that. You should be sensing fear. You should be sensing danger, that I can see my team getting dominated by the opposition team wave after wave after wave. I get it. We don't have the experience. I understand we don't have Virgil. Why aren't you making a decision to, okay, you could make two decisions there. One, you can take an attacker off to put in a defender to shore up and go, you know what, I'm sending a message to the team to defend well. Or you go, you know what, I need the ascendancy back. I can't have that team dominate the way they dominate. I need to throw in someone to get the ascendancy. He didn't do anything until it was 1-1.
But problem in that game, bro, was that we didn't have Vega, which he brings on usually when we need to defend. We didn't have Madueke, who does that off the ball job when Neto is off and you need a like-for-like replacement. When he turned to the bench, he had players like Felix and Nkunku. Nkunku got absolutely bullied in that game, and Felix would have been destroyed. He knew that he could not sustain press. We had two goalkeepers on the bench in that game, and then we got to know that it was a technical decision and they had missed a crucial team meeting, and that's why they did not have they did not make the match day squad. The only defender that we had on the bench that day was Disasi. You couldn't bring.
I'm sure we had Echepong.
But you can't bring Echepong in that situation.
Here's a shout. Well, hold on.
Bro, why not at 1-0? Why not at 1-0 to shore up the defense?
Disasi, I still make a case for Disasi, but Echepong.
Listen, I'm not too sure. Miz, we're on the same wavelength because you were just you said what I was going to say because. Baba, you spilled out all of that positive stuff from the Bournemouth game, but at the end of the day, the win from the Bournemouth game came from, at that time, Maresca being proactive and relying on Sancho and Nkunku. They won us the game. Cool? Jose Mourinho was one of the best managers that I've ever seen that can mitigate as much as possible for those intangibles you're talking about. When the team doesn't have leader in the squad at that time, guess what he did? He looked and he said, "No, what? I'm going to lead from the front and I'm going to mitigate it by making certain substitutions." In the same Fulham game, Cole, Vega, and Madueke aren't there. Simple as you can bring Disasi on. I think the biggest issue with Disasi is that don't play him at right back. You could even make a bold choice. Play him in a position where he's not susceptible to where his injury, where his mistakes is going to hurt us. You could put him in, play him as a CDM, shore up the back line, do something, make a system, a slight subtle system change that we've seen him done in the past to just shore it up there and get some more control into this game. You understand? That's just where I'm coming from with it. You were going to say something?
No, I agree. Just to quickly add on the Javon fact, the stuff that you just said, Javon. This is what I don't see with Maresca. He's too committed to the structure and the balance. And this is why I've said in recent times that when we are, let's say for argument's sake, winning 1-0 and you're worried that the opposition's throwing the kitchen sink, make a decision. Either you try and shut up shop with the substitution or you try and get an ascendancy back. When we are losing 1-0 against Ipswich, why wasn't there halftime changes to show that we are intent to coming back? How could you allow for... This is why I'm like, Maresca, you can't be doing that all the time. I fully understand your balance and your structure, 3-2, 4-1 and all of that stuff, on the ball, off the ball. I get that. But sometimes, depending on where the match is at, you do, as Javon said, you need to mitigate those factors by what you have in the bench. You have to. You got to find a solution. This is why you get the big bucks. This is why you're the manager. You have 5 substitutions you can make to mitigate a scenario. And you're not doing that. This is why for the last couple of games that we've lost, I've actually felt sad and upset because we didn't do enough to mitigate the problems. If you do enough to mitigate every problem and we still lose, congratulations, opposition. Yeah. You were the better team today. You beat us fair and square. But if you beat us and we know we didn't try everything possible, well, I'm sorry. I can't sit here and applaud you because the fault's on us.
And can I add, I know you said earlier about the manager potentially not using these players because he wants to show the board that... How about you do it the other way? How about you put Gu on? Jackson's gas, cool. Put Gu on and prove that he's not ready. Let's see. So if Gu comes on and he misses chances and he presses but he can't convert, then we can sit here and say, we tried that option. We didn't do it in Cuckoo for the 3rd time in a row. We actually tried something new. It didn't work. You put Josh Acheampong on. You say, right, this is the young player, new deal, talent, comes on. If he doesn't help us hold the lead, if he does make a mistake, if he gives away a penalty, you think I'm going to blame Maresca? That's the option. Use what you have, because then we can clearly see what works and what doesn't, and we can say, right, that's now on the board to go and say, right, we haven't got the options in certain positions for this manager. We don't have the option after Jackson. We don't have this. But if you're not going to use these guys, it's just going to leave people to wonder. It's going to be like, well, is he just scared to use young players? Is he just scared to use the players at his disposal? And you can't come out in the press conference and say, I love Josh. You should stay. You doesn't need to learn. You should stay. You say all these things, but you're not backing it up with the minutes.
Do you know what?
That's my...
I thought about this as well, Matisse, and just to play devil's advocate, right? And this is not how I'm thinking. I'm just sort of saying that this could be a possibility. Let's just say, for argument's sake, he does put in Gu, who he doesn't inside truly believe in, let's say. But then Gu goes and scores goals, right? So he's now in the mud. He's like, oh, shit, I don't believe this guy. This guy's just scored goals. Now the board's really going to think he's the real deal. So all along, he's like, I need a new striker. Now the board's really going to tell me, now, you're stuck with Gu. So maybe that's why he just doesn't want to. I don't even want to give that option of Gu scoring goals. Then I'm going to be stuck with this guy. I want to make a statement
I'm going to flip it again. Don't use Disassi and make them think he's part of your plans. Because if Disassi's part of your plans, you can't be part of my plans. You can't be part of my plans. Disassi cannot be part of your plans, especially not at right back. Forget it. I'm not even doing the right side centre back thing. In the last game, Disassi is stepping into midfield. Disassi is playing so wide. Disassi is pushing up the pitch. Disassi cannot cross. Disassi is not a great passer. Disassi cannot dribble. He cannot carry the ball. This brother cannot do nothing in an attacking sense. Nothing.
He can do one thing. Produce assists for the opposition.
in the Aspilicueta to Morata role. He is playing in that position. He is playing in an area where you can see Reece James putting that little inside right boot cross from deep. He is playing in an attacking position that actually is partly responsible for breaking lines and breaking down that defensive stability. And he can't do it. He, in fact, instead, he ain't even keeping the ball. Brother was unpressed, turned, and passed it straight into fucking the lap.
Bro,
That's mad.
bro, Disasi can play one position, yeah? He's got a perfect job for one thing, and that's doorman. Stick him on the doors. Because he's an absolute unit, right? No one's messing with Disasi on the door, that's for sure. So honestly, I don't see where else he belongs, man, honestly.
Apart from that pass, even if you look at that Hutchinson, dribbling it and then taking that shot on.
Yes.
He still had a chance to close him down.
Yeah.
He still had...
The first goal.
It was on the
first goal.
Yep.
Where
Someone
Disasi again caught out.
Listen, Matthias, you made a great point regarding the integration of the youth, right? My issue with this is, if you're not going to use them in these games, when are you going to? Barring the Everton game, we played Fulham and Ipswich. That's Fulham. Fulham hasn't won at our ground for 43 or 45 years, right? And Ipswich, second to the bottom of the table. You're telling me Achempong and you couldn't get minutes, much less to start in these games? Because here's what it does. It does that point that Matisse says, but let's say they score, Miz, right? You say, okay, you gave me something. Let me use you in the next game, which was, you bring him on against Fulham, something positive. Okay, let me give you some more minutes against Ipswich. You're starting to build that player, which is, oh, wow. When you look at it, we have a young squad. Aren't you supposed to develop these players by this way? Aren't you supposed to give them minutes to develop them? That's why we went down the path of youth. So if you do so, you're building them up to say, you know what? In these more difficult games, in these more high-profile games, I know I may not use you, but I know there's an option there at least on the bench that I've tested and tried in the past that can come in and do something. If you're not going to use them here, then I don't expect to see them against the Liverpools, the Aston Villas, the Manchester Cities, and these more high-profile games. At this point, it goes back to how we opened the argument, transfer windows open, go get people that you can utilize in these games. Because at this point, what's the point? Because now, the next game, which is Crystal Palace, is more important. So now you're even more hesitant to give them minutes. Because you need to get back on a winning run of form.
Yeah. This is why I'm very worried about the Crystal Palace game. And one, it's away from home. Two, Palace, if you just take away in recent times their Arsenal performances, which has been abysmal, if you look at all the other performances they had recent times, it's not actually that bad. They're actually a team which have been playing well. So it's if there was ever a must-win game that we've been screaming out about in recent times, this is like double must-win.
This is a must.
This is a must.
You must.
A must squared. Do you know what I mean? So this game, lads, let me paint a picture. You know how we're all saying, top four. Yeah, we got top four. Bro, Man City are 4 points away. After the abysmal season that they've had, they're 4 points away. Yeah. Newcastle.
Can you imagine being near them after everything? They've literally gone on an 11-game, 1-win run.
Bro, they've been decimated. They've been decimated, and they can literally laugh at us, say, even after us getting decimated, we're just 4 points behind you.
3.
So that's mad. I think Newcastle about 4 or 5.
Are the same 3. As well, yeah.
3. Wow, they picked up points while we did this pod.
4 wins in a row for them.
So they're not that far away.
4 in 4, sir.
Nottingham Forest are in
no
front
Saka.
of us. Forest
Still
are
picking
in
up
front
points.
of us. So
4 points ahead.
Arsenal,
Forest have won 5 out of the last 5.
Yeah, like Arsenal are meant to be one of the important teams this season, so I'm not worried about it. Nottingham Forest are ahead of us. City just around the corner. Newcastle seem like they've found their mojo. I'm telling you, don't pick up points against Crystal Palace, and some of those teams start picking up points. Yeah, it's gonna get tasty. So
We're We're gonna wrap because I gotta go to DR and get cussed. But I just want to quickly ask one question, one answer from everybody. If you could do one thing in this January window, that's realistic, of course. What would you do? You can sell, you can buy, you can recall, you can loan.
Get
you can
that.
buy
Another
if you-
10, bro. Another 10.
Danny Olmo. Another 10. I'm taking that as your answer, yeah?
The stack of the tens.
Yeah, nah, I'm just kidding, bro.
You're joking. All
He's,
right, go
he's
on.
a free agent, so might as well.
Bringing him back.
Jesus.
I'm getting.
We
I'm
do
getting
need
Andre
backups for the
Santos, straight
midfield.
up.
I'm agreeing with that. Yep.
Yeah, I need
Caicedo
Andre
gets
Santos
injured
back.
and we are in a whole heap of trouble.
Yeah, you get Andre Santos back, that solves a lot of these domino effect issues that we are having. You get him
Defense
back,
and attack.
you can allow Enzo again to bomb forward, do his business. Caicedo has a partner that he can bounce off of, and Caicedo, not that he's not been playing well, but Caicedo seems a lot better when he has someone who's regularly next to him, and then we can work out from there what we need to do in the back line. I think lately we're getting caught up in transition from opposition because midfield seems a bit open, and then the defenders make errors because of how open things are. So I'd get Andre Santos back. That's my number one pick.
Is everybody agreeing with that? Yeah.
I don't want to. I'll be honest. I don't want to. But it might get to the point where there's no other solution. Because like Lavia being fit solves the problem. But will he be fit? God knows. But I don't want to disrupt Santos's development because he's killing it right there. I just want him to keep going, just finish the season. But there might not be an alternative. So this is where like I don't want to, but yeah, it could be needed because we can't play Caicedo Enzo every game for the rest of the season. They will die.
Exactly.
They will die.
Yep.
So see, this again, to be honest, this goes back to your point on recruitment because I don't like how we do have a lot of players that are just too injury prone. Like it's too many. What are we doing? Even Anselmino, who we're getting in, right? Yeah, hamstring history, and he's currently injured. Brilliant, fits the bill. Welcome to Chelsea. So
I
don't know.
Well, there you are.
I understand all of that, but I genuinely think we need a solution for the Nkunku situation. It's starting to become a hindrance now, from not paying it any mind to not helping us at all, to offering something in the Conference League to now just being a full-blown hindrance. So a resolution for the Nkunku situation, whether it's switching the formation tactically when he's playing or replacing him. I gave up on Nkunku. So.
Wow.
When's the knockout stage for the Conference League? When does that begin?
March.
I think February.
March.
Yeah. March, I think, actually, yeah.
Oh, so he's got a lot of waiting time.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Damn. Giving up on Nkunku. Do you know what? I don't disagree with you because I think technically I still believe in something, but I think mentally I agree with you. He's checking out, and I think if he doesn't go in January, he's going in the summer for the World Cup for France the year after. But anyway, we're gonna wrap there, people. That was All You Can Eat Chelsea. A lot to get through. Got through a lot. Big game against Palace. We will be there, and we will be there next week, and we'll be back for the rest of the season. We had a little bit of a break, but obviously the festive period. But yeah, guys, Palace is massive. Goes without saying. We don't want to slip into a real battle for top four when really it could have been quite comfortable. Subscribe to everybody's channels. The links will be in the description, and I'll see you guys next time. Big up your damn selves in a bit, people. Peace.